It's just different.
Hopeless at one point and then having an opportunity to make you go harder, make you get in that booth and just really express that hopelessness. Like, man, y'all don't understand. This is like, you know what I mean? You dig from a different place. That bottom of your soul, that pit, homie, where you felt like the shit was, you know what I'm saying? You always wanted, but it looked like it was just not gonna happen.
Shit, in your mind it ain't gonna happen, shit, it probably won't. I took some risks, some people probably won't. That's how we're grateful for the fruits of all my labor. Hard to live and know you sick, I'd rather be with my creator, thinking time's up.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Four Insight Podcast. This is your host, Mike Obi.
And it's your boy, London Ogletree, back for some more gems. How's your week going today, man?
It's a long week, a whole lot going on, staying busy out here, but, everything's going well, man. Just one day at a time. How about you?
Yeah, it's been good. Back on my, I kind of slipped off of my diet for like 2 to 3 weeks. And now last week was the first time really getting back on it. So I'll say like mentally, everything is good. From a scale of 1 to 10, I'll say it's about 8 or 9.
Yeah. Always room for improvement, but, as long as things are progressing forward, that's all we can ask for.
Always.
So before we get into the episode, obviously we appreciate everybody who continues to rock and support the content. We just ask that you guys continue to do so by following our YouTube channel at Four Insight. You can also follow us on Spotify, Anchor, and Apple Podcasts. Continue to leave us 5-star ratings to help boost an algorithm and keep on spreading the gems to the culture. So we got another pressing issue for us to discuss. This one's something I don't think we really have touched on too much, a little bit maybe here and there, but we're really going to dive deep into it. So a common impact of hustle culture that we're in right now is this feeling of being alone, or feeling like people have to figure out life on their own. So just on that statement, what are you thinking? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Or what do you think?
I always come from the angle of being alone to get through my stuff. So if anybody comes to me with that, I'm gonna always sit there and say, figure it out yourself, figure out how to do it your own way. If not everybody wants to hear your problems at the end of the day. So it's like, if you do have a support team, say you have a little circle, then it's cool to have that. But at the same time, I say do things by yourself, because people are just not gonna rock with you how you think they rock with you.
Yeah, I mean, I always say be prepared to go out on your own. If you get support, great. Me who's into fragrance now and trying to, make rounds and kind of make my mark in that industry. Going at my project that I've been working on by myself, and I have people around me like, why don't you just hire somebody to do it? Why don't you just rely on these people to do it? It's like, because one, I don't want to have to rely on other people for something that I'm trying to create for myself. And like, it's my legacy at the end of the day. It's my name that I'm putting on it. So at the end of the day, I should be able to rely on me first and foremost. And then on top of that, it's like, I feel like there's more pride to take when you're able to kind of get out the mud and not just pay for it to be done. It's kind of like what we talked about with yard work. That ability to be taught to get it on your own and be able to, put the bone work in to figure it out, get the formula right. And then, when you do get something great, that you did it and it was all you. You take more pride in it that way.
I think that's what like I struggle with, is because like we do come from that type of environment of getting it your own way, getting out the mud, work hard for it. So like when people say use the word like networking and stuff, it was so hard for me to learn that. So I'm like, technically, like I don't need y'all for me where I'm gonna get to, but at the same time, you kind of do need people. But I think if you do 80% you and 20% networking, then that's how I look at it. Like I don't really want nothing from a handout. I kind of want things from just myself. And then you don't really gotta, because like how I look at it, I think everybody's a motive. And it's like, if you sit there and somebody helps you and then you do make it, and then say that person that helped you did not make it, then they're gonna be like, oh, I helped him, so he should be trying to help me. And it's like, to me, it just gets too confusing. I really just stay in my lane. I really just do what the heck I was supposed to do and then get it that way. So to me, I like being alone and I like doing it my way. And then if I have a genuine group of people around me, then I ask for help, but usually I won't.
I love that ratio you brought up, that 80% you, 20% networking. I mean, I think about what it has to be. It's almost like in fitness, right? Like they say 80% of the progress you see is in the kitchen, and then that extra 20%
Exactly.
put in the gym is kind of the same to be applied. Like most of it is going to be the work that you put in, and you have to work hard. the network and knowing people is, that extra, like being able to work smarter, not harder. So if there's something that you don't know or you're not familiar with, then you can maybe tap into the people who say, hey, did y'all know how to do this? Or where did you guys go for this? That's the type of thing. Or for me, I understand I don't know everything. So that's where I rely on my support system or the people I know, and like, hey, yo, L, did you do this differently? Or I'm trying this. What do you think about this? I think that's perfectly fine. And that's how it should look. But the whole thinking everybody else is going to do the work for you, I think
Yeah.
you're setting yourself up for failure in that aspect if you're taking on that mindset.
Yeah, 100%.
Now, this next point is something I think is a big factor, but people don't feel comfortable or don't like talking about. But I think this is kind of a big influencing part, which is we're in a time where there are more single unit support households than ever, really. And what kind of impact do you think that has had on the kids coming up in these next generations, ours, and even the ones coming up after us? What do you think about that?
I have a two-part to this. Is that okay? So I didn't know that's a good fun fact that we're growing up in more single, like you sound like single parent homes.
Yeah, single parents.
So
there's
that's
single moms,
def
dad.
yeah. So that being said, that definitely plays a big part of a kid's direction of life if you just grew up in a single parent home. Because it's like how I look at it is I was fortunate enough to have both my parents in the household, but it was a lot of domestic violence. It was a lot of tearing things down, mistreating this and this. So I feel like I hindered having two people in the household. But at the same time, by these kids not having like a dad or a mom in the household, they're gonna always think like, well, what would it been if I had like my dad or my mom in this household? But at the same time, they're gonna lose they're gonna have a lot of anger growing up because they're gonna say they're gonna have a lot of what ifs. And a
Yep.
lot of what ifs is gonna turn into well, if I had my dad, well, maybe I would have been this, or if I had my mom, maybe I would have been this. But on the other side, you can think of how I had it. Like maybe I'm like, well, if I just had my mom, well, we've been better off than just having what we saw. So for me, it hinders the kid, but it also makes them stronger.
Yeah.
But when I say the type of trauma they hold on to stuff differently. It's like they don't trust people no more. It's going to be hard to prove their point, and that's going to take it through 20, 30 years. They're going to have to go through a first breakup, most likely. 9 times out of 10, your first relationship, you're going to have a breakup. It sounds horrible, but you're probably going to break up with them. That's going to probably be your first love. Then you're gonna put in that I never had a dad or a mom in the household. I just had one of them. It started with that. Then it came with my relationship. Now I don't trust none of y'all. So it just keeps carrying on. That's kind of why I think having a single parent household can mess you up in a way.
So honestly the perfect segue into the next point is, how does potential childhood trauma impact people as adults? Right. And I think it's like you said, they build on it. Maybe they are stronger in the end. You know what I'm saying? You look at a LeBron James who had a single mom, right? And a lot of those stories, a lot of the athletes that make it to the NFL, you see them in draft day. I was able to do it, now I can provide for moms, you know what I'm saying? Or
Yeah.
Stephen A. Smith, I saw a TikTok, one of his interviews he did recently, and he was talking about how the greatest moment of his life was whenever he got his first check at ESPN to do Quite Frankly. And because he got that payday, he was able to go to his mom's workplace and say, hey, you're
You don't
done.
gotta do this no
You
more.
don't gotta do this no more. It's stuff like that. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, what are they holding on to? What happened? What type of resentment? Are they able to find peace with that resentment, or do they harbor it, and then that maybe affects their family that they start because they didn't get that side of the nourishment, right? They didn't get the fatherly, stern direction or the motherly nurturing, and so now everything is overcorrected or overlaid to one end of the spectrum. They talk about this with boys who grow up in who grow up with single moms, especially, right? This whole thing of, I don't. It's interesting what people think, but this is what they say is like they tend to take on more maternal components, more maternal, tendencies as far as their personality, right? Maybe they are because they grow up with a mother, they become more emotional. Becoming more emotional, they aren't as emotionally mature, right? So those are the type of things that are just for people to think about. Or is this something that's really happening, and that's where maybe going to therapy or really being able to have self-reflection, having a community. This is why the right coaches are big, because they can really be able to steer a young person in the right direction. You know, me who's the coach now, that's a lot of what I think about. I tell my kids all the time. It's like I don't want y'all just to see me as a teacher who just is about, you know, your grades, but I'm invested in you guys' success, right? I care about y'all as human beings, right? I want y'all to be successful humans, you know, members of society, not just successful students. And so all those things are things for people to think about, you know, in my opinion.
No, you hit everything I was gonna say. You ended up saying this also. Let me just let him finish. I think that's what you said is 100% correct, and it's like everybody needs help from somebody. So it could be, it's not just the parents, it's the teachers, it's the coaches, it's the friends, moms, it's the aunties, it's to me, it's everybody has to play a part in all these kids' role. So when I see a kid, for example, I went to a graduation party last week.
Yeah.
This kid he's a sophomore he's a sophomore in high school. We know at that age where he had a different upbringing than maybe what we had. He was more privileged, this and this. He goes Seven Lakes. So he's one of them kids who were just rebellious, do whatever, say what he was saying whatever he wanted to his parents. He's like, I smoke this, I smoke marijuana, I do that. And he's in trouble for it. He's a sophomore in high school. But at that age, it's like, listen to your parents. To me, I think he needed his ass whooped. Don't get me wrong, but that's just what I think he needed. But the dude is so smart. He's a sophomore in high school and he flies planes, literally. Like he flies planes. I'm like, he asked me like this is, and excuse my like, he's like, how do you get, I just shuttle. He's like, how do I get these girls like this? How do I get that? I said, honestly, I said, it's okay to get girls because you're at that age in your life, whatever, but focus on your body, how you look, your money. Always make sure your money is right. And also the number one thing that I always preach is don't do anything because everybody else is doing it. Be your own man, have your own say. So I think us coming into a grown up, we're grown now. So it's like we're gonna have kids now who might have trauma, or we might have kids who might go across these things. And I think for you, now that you're a coach, and me, just if I come across anybody that's younger than me, I always give them the free game. It's like I'm not trying to be that old person who be like, let me just not say this, because you never know who you run into. That person could be about to do something that you don't even think of, and you could have just changed his whole life. So for me, you can eliminate that trauma from stuff in the household by having somebody be like, man, I was going through something at home, but you know what, Coach Obi just talked to me and he just made sure that I was heard, and that's all I need to hear. And for that, you are the person that I come up to, and that's my mentor. Boom, you didn't save this kid's life. So to me, it's everybody has to help, and that's why I think some teachers go in there just to teach, but the good teachers are the people who are trying to go above and beyond and help them kids, because that's what it's about, is helping everybody around you.
Yeah, I mean, the importance of having a supportive community. I mean, in my culture, we talk about a village raising a child. It's not just your parents. Your parents can't be with you every single minute, every single day. They can't watch you forever. So, you know, the people who you spend time with outside can be able to steer you like, hey, you're kind of you're slipping, man, or you know, you're falling in with the wrong crowd. Be careful of that. And my thing is, I try to be as real world applicable in my classroom, and you know, even on the field. And when I'm not even coaching, when I'm at the gym and I'm talking to little bros or you know, young ladies and stuff like that. Like I'm always trying to tell like truth to prepare them. It's not to scare you, but it's like, yo, this stuff really does happen. It's not all sweet. You know what I'm saying? And as a result, you got to be prepared. Now, this is what I can do. This is what I can tell you. This is what I have seen. And this is how I can kind of, you know, be able to help you. You know what I'm saying? And having that ability, like, because I had people do this for me. Like, this is why it's such a big deal for me. Because it's like, I had people pour into me when I could have gone down the wrong path, or I could have let anger or whatever the case, you know, steer me in the wrong direction. It's like, nah, man, you just don't know what you're capable of. You know, you just got to
Right.
keep believing in yourself. So like, all right, I had that done for me. Now a lot of my purpose is helping people. My purpose is helping people in any way that I can. So it's like being a coach, being a fragrance person, everything is geared towards trying to provide value. And then in doing that, you only are helping the world be a better place, and you're helping kind of create the next generation of young leaders instead of followers. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I've noticed in this upcoming generation? What are these generations? You know,
Gen Z, technically.
Zen, yeah, Gen Z, I don't know, whatever,
Gen
those
Z.
people. Those people. Um, in even some in our generation, we have a hard time taking constructive criticism.
Yeah.
And I remember you told me a little thing about your little players and stuff, which you told me offline. But
Mhm.
it's like they don't know that it's best. And that's I finally understand what my parents and older people is like, you'll get it when you get older.
Mhm.
And now I finally understand that it's because like when you're young, you just be like, why is everybody trying to tell me something? Like they don't know what the heck they're talking about. But you gotta give them their credit and their stripes because they've been in these situations. For you, for example, you play football, you went to like college for like you can tell them more than what they even know because they're not even in their primes of their football career. So for
Mhm.
you, you're doing this because you know how passionate you were and you know the potential these kids can go to. So to me, I think it's going to affect their adulthood by you being hard on them in a good way because it's like Coach Obi started this off in junior high.
Mhm.
So when I go to high school, this ain't nothing for me. So it's like to me, that's why I like how you said it. So to me, that's why I think those people coming into your life outside of your family can affect your adulthood in different ways. So I just keep going and being positive in that way.
Most definitely. Now let's talk about this ability to network and the importance of learning how to network, because I think that is part of having a supportive community is being able to talk to people and being able to kind of get out of that mold. Because you and I are both largely introverts. I
You
again,
take the
if Elle had met Obi at 19, 20, 21, a completely different person. I was not a person who liked talking to people. I was always kind of to myself. You know, I wasn't really about really having too many friends or making friends. I wasn't like that at all. But then I had to start learning as I was going out, like that's not gonna work, especially if you're trying to do what I'm trying to do now. It's like you're gonna have to learn how to speak to people. You're gonna have to learn how to
right.
get out of that. So for you, I want you to go first about how you learned how to network for yourself.
Um, that was that was hard for me. Like I said, like as in high school and college, you had to take a speech class.
Mhm.
I I used to always try to avoid going up first or speaking in front of. I just did not like speaking in front of people. But um, being in sales, 365 days of the year, you're talking to high key decision makers, and you're talking to grown ups that's gonna going through interview processes to you name it. You're going to have to handle objections. So that's all a conversation is just handling objections and knowing how to navigate through it. And something that I figured out is it's not what you know, it's who you know. And it took me a while to learn that. And I don't care what industry you're in, you might have to work extremely hard to get your foot in the door. But once you're in the door and you make connections, that networking starts. So for you now, you're teaching, you're coaching.
Mhm.
Everything now is about your resume of what you do coaching and statistics on the school side. Once you know somebody from coaching it, you're gonna be able to move around and bounce around because now you got your foot in the door. Same thing with me. Once I got into the energy industry and sales, it was I had to really hustle to learn the material of what I'm selling, and then I went to a new company, and now I'm forced blessed. I'm blessed to have this opportunity. I'm going to a new company. It's now that I'm on my third company. Now I feel like I know more connections, and now it's like you can network. And if you go to the fitness side of it, um, by you being big or you having some like you being super lean, you being cut, it it builds some credibility for you, and people are gonna come up to you, and then that's how you network doing that way. So it's definitely big, but I still stand on the whole point of do your own work and then let people come to you because that's just how I was brought up.
Yeah.
I've never been the guy to be like, hey man, I see you doing your thing. I see you doing that. Hey, do you mind if me and you get like a video or something? We can do like a collab. That's never been me.
Me neither.
I go to gyms and any gym I've ever been through, from Brenham to College Station to Lubbock to Houston to Michigan. I go into any gym and I won't say nothing to nobody for the first 4 5 months. Everybody, everybody would come to me and be like, man, you're big, you're this and this. And then we'll form that relationship off of that. But
Yeah.
I'm not about to be no dude to go up to you and be like, hey man, I like what you're doing, man. Can we get a picture real quick? You ain't never gonna see London say that in their life. That's just not me. Cause I like I told you, I feel like I got 400 million followers in my head. So if you got 100 and something K, that's cool for you. I'm happy for you. I'm blessed for you. But I just never been me. I'm more about getting my shit out the mud. So That is how I feel.
Yeah, no, I mean, I understand that it's a pride aspect of it, and I think that's what we're talking about at the end. It's okay to have pride in yourself and to believe in yourself. I think where the balance is that not letting your pride hinder your development or hinder your opportunities or stop you from gaining an opportunity. I think that's the main thing in terms of like, learning how to break your shell as an introvert is like, okay, if this could help me be something greater, that's more important than me trying to put on a front. You know what I'm saying? Or me trying to act like I can't be vulnerable. It's like, nah, these people can help me and they're being genuine, they're
That's
being nice.
hard though.
It is hard.
It's hard.
Hard.
Cause like I'm very moody. So it's like this is what I think comes with networking.
Yeah.
You always have to be nice. I'm not always trying to be nice. So some days I don't want to talk to nobody.
Yeah.
So they're gonna be like, well, I just helped you. Like we supposed to talk every time. That's why I don't put myself and try to ask people for help too much, because I feel like everybody needs something in return. Now,
Yeah.
there's some people who just being genuine, like I just from the kindness of my heart. Thank you so much, man. I'm blessed for that. But I just haven't seen it too much. So it's hard for me to break my shell of introvert because I'm very highly introverted.
Yep.
But it is good to network. I'm not sitting there saying networking is bad. I think networking is definitely amazing. But I just, in my opinion, I respect people who really get it out from nothing, and like you got a little bit of help. Don't get me wrong, get a little bit of help, but majority of their work was from them.
No, I agree with that. I mean, most definitely, it's a balancing act, and again, is being selective on who you choose to trust. That's why, like, when people will say, like, your circles are so small. It's like, yeah, it has to be. Like, I can't trust everyone. Like, and especially how I seen people rock. It's like people are cutthroat and people snake. I mean, that people will say that sounds cynical, but that's the truth. You know what I'm saying? And so my thing is just being very selective on who I choose to trust, who I even choose to tell whom my dreams to. Because there are some who will say, okay, let me take it to try to, snake his dream and let me try to take his dream from him. You know what I'm saying? Like, or the secret, they'll sneak diss you, sneak hate on you. Like, I don't think he really got that in him. You know what I'm saying? So my thing is, okay, if you're gonna rock with me, great, and I'll be loyal to. But if you're not, no problem.
I can't really rock with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's, to me, you saying those examples, and I know they're like actually real life examples because it's happened before. I can't even fathom even saying that about my homeboys.
Yeah.
Like I got homeboys who really blew up, and I cheer for them like they cheering for themselves. So I'm like, regardless of what it is, like, bro, you doing successful. I just never been hate has never been something in my heart. So I'm like, I just see the bigger picture of everything. So it's like, if you say you blew it, right? I feel like I've made a relationship to you to the point where like, I know that I'm not going to ever ask for anything, but like you will present something to me and be like, you're going to have to work for this, but I definitely would like try to help you, whatever. And then you go to me, I think that's the type of relationship I have with my friends, because I'm like, I'm not ever going to ask they're not obligated to give me anything. So if you made $60 million a year, I wouldn't ask you for a quarter because that's not my money. So it's like, I'm just happy for you to get the success. And I think that's what I think comes with that is I just can't even fathom you saying that, because there's some people out here in this world who are like, oh, let me take his success from him. Let me try to backdoor him and make sure he can't get nothing else. Like, to me, that's just weird. But hey, that's
how some
life.
people are wired, man. I mean, that's the truth. It's like, the truth is, it doesn't hurt. The truth isn't good to hear, but it's understand. You need to understand it. You know what I'm saying? And at the end of the day, you just have to understand, like, what karma is a mud, you know what I'm saying? And I
Very
just
real.
keep my karma as clean and as pure as I can. And at the end of the day, I look at every person who's a success story as validation and as an example that it can be done. If they could do it, I could do it. You know what I'm saying? I just got to learn. I just got to keep on pivoting. And there's enough of a sample size there. I just got to put in the work, and that's all I'm built for. You feel me?
Right.
All right, man. Well, we've gotten through. I mean, that was a good little episode this week.
Yeah, we was talking.
It was talking. And I think at the end of the day, like, what we're trying to do with this podcast is just build a holistic community where, it's people who are well-rounded and who have all facets covered. So dating aspect, mental aspect, career aspect, and we keep on going as we evolve. The good thing about us is we're young and we're doing it in real time, but we don't know everything. And so the beauty is we get to learn, and we get to learn with our community of family. You feel me?
what I'm trying to bring to this podcast is bring some authentic vibes back in this world. So if I can bring, because I think there's a lot of just fakeness going around in this world. I think that's why I think this podcast would present. It's just straight, just being ourselves and people just hearing being real. Like a lot of people hate a lot of those podcasts being real, but at the end of the day, it's like it's about how you present the real. There's some people who would just be just ignorant and just say whatever. I try to come and say facts and come with just things that will help everybody. But I also would tell you I don't know everything. So if somebody comes back with an opinion and be like, well, I don't agree with that, this is how you should look at it. And I could say, well, this is how I look at it. And be like, okay, I like how you saw it. I like how you saw it. And you come to agree to disagree. But I just want to bring that just realness back in the world because I come from a whole different background from Detroit. So it's like for me, it's weird seeing a lot of people act funny and move weird. So that's kind of where I kind of want to bring back from this podcast.
That's a fact. I mean, they said everything, but especially in dating where, you know, two sides are just everyone, it's the other side's fault. I'm like, let's come together and let's really hash a lot of this stuff out because you and I have that ability, but not a lot of people don't. So that's where I another, you know, other fellow dudes on the show to be able, okay, what's really going on? What y'all thinking? We can talk that language, but then also being able to bring women on here and just kind of just have a conversation, no pressure, no ulterior motive. We're just trying to understand, just trying to listen. You know what I'm saying? And we just kind of be able to depict that these conversations can be had. You know what I mean? So, but that was sweet. And I'll do it for this week, y'all. Again, we appreciate y'all listening and supporting us. You can follow us on Instagram, follow the YouTube, follow us on listening platforms, including Anchor, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. London, you got anything else before we close out?
I don't, but I just appreciate y'all for watching weekly. My Instagram is London_Ogletree. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for real.
All right, my Instagram is Obed.Mike. We'll catch y'all next week and much love to y'all.
Around, feet on the ground with a prove you wrong mindset. I'd rather go out on my sword to have my mind tapped. The ones with eyes can never see, I make the blind clap. I'm bringing back that type of sound that once Divine rap, homie.